All right, guys, let's talk about firing. How do you decide whether or not to fire someone? In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact steps I take and questions I ask myself to be able to come to a decision as to whether or not I should let someone go. And at the end, I'm going to wrap it up with the mindset that business owners and managers need to have. I've been doing this for over a decade. I've fired many people. It's never easy, but it's an absolute necessity for business owners and managers to be able to make a decision when it's time to let someone go. So first, let's hit on the easy ones. If someone steals from you, if someone lies to you, that is dishonesty and you need to let that person go. You are never going to be able to rebuild your trust with them. Negligence. Now, this can be a gray area. Sometimes people forget to follow policies and procedures, and it could cause damage to a client's personal property. If this is a repeated offense and you've already trained this person on this and it keeps happening, you need to let them go because they are costing you money. Next is drugs and alcohol. If drugs or alcohol are affecting this team member's performance at work and you know those things are happening, this can be a huge liability for your business, especially if they're driving company vehicles or client vehicles. So if you are aware of any drug or alcohol abuse during business hours, let this person go. Now we're going to spend the bulk of the time discussing the harder ones. So there are two main reasons someone would get fired from our company without being dishonest, negligence, or having a drug or alcohol problem. And that is either going to be in the performance category, so a lack of performance, or bad attitude category. So let's talk about performance. If someone is consistently underperforming, it could be for a number of things. They could be a bad fit for the position. They could have not been trained properly. They could not know the expectations or the KPIs for the position. So if someone is underperforming, here's what you do. First, you need to make sure they understand the KPIs or key performance indicators of the position. If you have not defined this for them, then you can't hold them to any specific standards. So for every single position, there should be documented KPIs that are not only written, but you've verbally gone over with the team member. Next is going to be to set expectations. So in addition to KPIs, what are the expectations for the position? A KPI could be something like, for our office team, we're expecting you to get at least 10 Google reviews per month. That's a specific, trackable, measurable KPI. As far as expectations go, I'm expecting you to have your desk clean at the end of the day. I'm expecting you to relay information accurately to our installers every day. Those are my expectations for the position, and those should also be fully documented and verbally gone over. Now, if a team member has their KPIs and expectations and they're still underperforming, then you need to revert back to coaching and training. Have they been trained properly and given all of the tools and resources necessary to perform in this position? Some people are really quick learners. Some people need more time to pick things up. So you should have benchmarks as to when you're expecting certain things to be learned, and also set aside proper time for training. If you've found that this person's been in this position for months and they're underperforming, but they haven't had proper coaching or training, then you need to go back to the coaching and training and spend time with that individual. As long as you're seeing consistent improvements, that is a good sign that this person may be eligible to stay on the team. All right, so if you have set KPIs, expectations, and done training and coaching with this person and they're still underperforming, then you need to be doing performance evaluations. In those performance evaluations, you need to ask really good questions and set your intentions properly. So that could be something like, hey, My intention as your coach, as your leader, is to make you as successful as possible in this position. So let's go through some of your KPIs and expectations, and I want to hear if you think you've been fulfilling these. So you will sit down with that individual, and it's great to hear where they put themselves. Are they delusional about how they've been performing, or do they also feel like they've had a lack of performance? If they are delusional, you need to let them know what the reality is and show them where they're performing compared to where you expect them to be. If they agree with you that they've been underperforming, ask questions like, is there anything else that I can do or your manager can do as your leader to improve performance and get you to where you need to be? Is it time? Is it resources? Is it training? Or is it more coaching? And then from there, you guys can build out a plan. If you keep having performance reviews, they keep underperforming, and you guys aren't making any progress together, then it will be time to let that person go. Now, if you have a team member where they think they're here and you think they're there, and you believe there's some delusion, and you've shown them facts as to the spread on the performance that you're expecting and where they actually are, and they are arguing or disagreeing with you, and they are not being coachable, then they probably aren't going to work out at your company. All right, we've talked about performance. Now let's talk about attitude. When someone has a great attitude but poor performance, and you've done all of the things in the performance category to try to improve that person, but they still love the company, they're happy to be there every day, and they're a pleasure to be around, you may want to consider moving them into a different position within the company that better suits their skill sets. So now let's talk about someone with a bad attitude. And these can be the hardest people to deal with. So there's people that have like a life event happen, and that's really affecting them personally at work. There's also people that have a cyclical bad attitude. So they'll have like really good days, and then they'll have bad days. And on the bad days, you kind of feel like you're walking around on eggshells. And then there'll be people where they had a good attitude, and then it's kind of slowly tapered, and then they always seem like they're in a negative space. It seems like they have a consistent bad attitude and it's not improving. So what you need to do when you have someone with a cyclical bad attitude, or maybe they used to have a good attitude and you've just seen it gone downhill, or maybe they have something personally going on, is you do need to be upfront with that person. Take them on a walk, have a sit down meeting, say, you know, we care about you. We've noticed there's been some changes in your mood, and we just want to see if there's anything that's happening at work or if it's something personally. If it's something going on personally, just the fact that that person got it off their chest and relate it to you, you're going to be more understanding, and they're going to feel better knowing that they've been transparent about whatever is going on at home, and you guys can work together to try to maybe shift hours, give them some time off, whatever is needed. If it's truly a life event that's happening personally, typically that will go away and you guys will be able to move on. Now, the harder situations are when someone has a cyclical bad attitude, they're just like a moody person, or they used to have a good attitude and you can just tell that things aren't the same anymore. So with that type of person, same thing, you need to sit down with them, you need to go on a walk with them, you need to ask them if anything's bothering them, if there's anything that you can do, tell them about specifically what you've noticed, and if there's anything personally going on at home. A lot of times people will stonewall and they won't tell you exactly what's going on, and that can be really challenging. But if they say that there's nothing going on personally and nothing that's bothering them at work, and they still have a sour attitude, it's going to be really hard for you to turn the ship around, and it's most likely that you're going to have to let them go. Someone with a bad attitude is like a piece of rotting fruit in a basket. They are most likely negatively impacting everyone on the team and therefore lowering performance overall. I hate the feeling of going to work and knowing there's that one person that I don't really want to be around. And if you're feeling like that as the business owner, it's most likely that other people in the company are feeling the exact same way. And I've had to let multiple people go because of this. And these are the ones that are hardest to let go because sometimes they are actually performing really well, and so it can be scary letting them go. But if they are not willing to improve their attitude, they are not going to be a good fit for your company culture. All right, let's wrap it up with mindset. So as I mentioned, I've fired multiple people. It's never a fun or easy thing to do. However, once it is done, you will be relieved. The team will most likely be relieved. If that person had a bad attitude or they were a poor performer, the team is just gonna excel when they're gone, when they're not having to babysit this person's performance or walk on eggshells around them. And you are setting that person that you let go up for success. They probably also had similar feelings that they weren't performing well or they weren't happy. So because you are breaking up with them, you are letting them explore a new opportunity that they will probably be so much happier in. So look at it as a real relationship breakup where both people can move on, they can grow and learn from the experience. And I could do a whole nother video on like tactically the steps to take to fire someone. I'm not going to go into that much detail, but if you've already had the meetings, you've already had the performance reviews, you have spoken to this person one-on-one multiple times and things haven't changed, then you can rest assured that you've done everything in your power to make things right. Then you can rest assured that you've done everything in your power to make this person successful in your company, and you should not feel bad about letting them go. That's why it's super important to make sure that you did all of these things before you make the decision to let someone go. And when it comes time to actually fire someone from your company, it's best to leave it super simple. Wish them well, tell them that you appreciated your time there, and let them get on with their lives. If you have any questions, you can message me directly.